Hi, good evening from Kansas. It's Laura Donnelly, and I'm here with another episode of The Healing Path. And today I am really happy to be able to share with you um, the ideas and the stories that I have been talking with my friend Cindy about for a few days, about the holidays, about how life goes on around the holidays. And if you're caregiving or you're in the midst of helping a parent or who knows what else. That stuff doesn't stop for the holidays. And and sometimes it can feel kind of challenging to have the holiday spirit. So this episode of The Healing Path, we'll share some ideas about that, and you'll get to meet my friend Cindy. And for people who haven't seen The Healing Path before, this is a series of conversations that I started in June of 2020 when I realized that life was really challenging now, more challenging than I had uh, anticipated that it would be, and more challenging than many of the people I knew thought it would be. And I realized that healing is important and that healing happens. And a lot of times it happens in ways that we don't expect it to, or it looks different than we thought it would look. And so I started these conversations because it turned out I know a lot of people who are healers or working in healing professions or helping professions. And I I love talking about all these topics. So tonight you get to meet my friend Cindy. We met online in a group that we both are members of, and we we talked and we found out we had a lot of things in common in how we looked at the world, not how we do things necessarily, but in how we looked at healing, and we wanted to share some of those with you. I'll bring Cindy onto the broadcast and she can tell you a little bit more about herself. Hey Cindy, great to
Hi,
see you.
it's good to see you too. So, you let me introduce myself?
Please.
Okay. Well, I'm Cindy Olney, and I'm a grief and eldercare coach. So, my business is Shadowlands Coaching, and I work with people who are either grappling with the death of somebody very dear to them, or they are going through supporting somebody as a family caregiver, or simply somebody who's very close to the person as they are going through end of life. Because there's a lot of what they call anticipatory grief, but what I believe is, through that process, as a person you're caring for, um, starts to starts moving towards end of life, they start losing things, and then you grieve those steps as you go along. So those are the two groups of people I work with.
And we both lost our mothers in the last couple of years.
Right.
And one of the things I shared with Cindy is that my mom's birthday was Christmas Day. And so coming into the Christmas holiday, in addition to all the Christmas things, hullabaloo and everything, I have this, it's my mom's birthday and she's not here. And each year, as it goes further on, it's a little softer.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's been really important not to ignore that day as her birthday, but also not, well, and to give myself permission to miss her and also permission to be joyful, even though she's not there. And so one of the things Cindy and I have been talking about is how people can feel multiple things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes it's challenging. I mean, one day I was whistling before my mom passed away. My brother and I were caring for her, and he just popped out with How can you be happy?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, you know, maybe happy isn't my whole feeling, but right now the sun is shining
Mhm.
and the coffee is brewing and we're going to have bacon and eggs and
Yeah.
we're together. So right in this little slice,
Mhm.
I felt like whistling and I felt kind of happy. And so my friend Alice is watching, and I know she's been in a challenging situation caring for her kids and for her mother.
Mhm.
And so then this is another thing that can really make the holidays challenging for people.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, there's a lot of us out there who lost people at this time. There's a statistic that I read in the New York Times that there are more non-accidental deaths between Christmas and New Year's. And those of us who work in the death education world know or feel very strongly that while we can't choose not to die, right? That's a non-negotiable. And we are always in control of when we leave this plane. But there does seem to be an element of control of it. And I think it is a time when family gathers. My mother died January 2nd, 2017. And it was very interesting because we all kind of had a sense it was coming, um, probably more so than she was in a nursing home situation. And I kind of felt like I knew it more than the nurses. I kept talking to the nurses. I was sort of like, oh, no, no, we just think she has a urinary tract infection. But she was up and about and wanted to do some activities. But as when people are actively dying, they get exhausted really quickly. And but she knew everyone, she could see everybody and be with everybody. And that was on the 24th. And then on the 25th, we traveled home. And because again, even though I had that instinct, she was near death, nobody else did. And then the next day, she went into, they didn't use the word coma, but a deep sleep. My brother was completely out of town. And I think he had hoped in a way that, I mean, he was not, he was very, he wasn't, I don't think he was real comfortable with the whole process. And she wasn't having it. She wasn't going to have it. And so even though she had the death rattle, and we know that that usually occurs 24 to 48 hours before somebody passes, she hung in there until not only he was back in town, but that we were both at her bedside because she always wanted us to believe that we were equally important to her.
It's,
And yeah.
it's just amazing how the things unfold. And I think you're right that sometimes maybe people want to see everybody and they're saying goodbye, but other people don't know they're saying goodbye.
Mhm.
You know, you had that feeling, and and then it goes into the, well, it's also the darkest times of the year for me in the northern hemisphere, for people who live in the northern hemisphere, but also for me, this is a long nights time
Mhm.
in the way the sun is going, and I find that I want to sleep more,
Mhm.
you know, and so I think that it's and coming up for where I live is more winter,
Mhm.
more difficult times, harder to get about, harder for people to get about. And so I think sometimes people just say, well, I saw everybody and I'm going to float on out of here and not deal with another,
Mhm.
January, February, long winter.
Yeah.
And, and while that's good for the person who's passing away, that can also be really hard for the people who are supporting that person.
Mhm.
And so it sounds to me like you guys, you went away from your home for the 24th, and so then this is the other thing is that even if somebody is just older, but suddenly not able to travel, not able to do the usual family
Mhm.
traditions. Maybe it's the traditions that people do. And I know there was a lot of mourning and grief during COVID because people felt like they couldn't gather.
Mhm.
And and then I told you the other day, just simple stuff. I have a kind of busy life, a lot of people and things I'm keeping track of. When the holidays come, I just add things to the holidays.
Mhm.
And I don't take anything off. I don't say I'm going to work 6 hours a day instead of 8 so that I can spend 2 hours, going to a concert or a friend's kid's Christmas pageant or whatever. I just add that in. And when I was talking to you, one of the things I realized is that when I add those things in, where I put them in was in my recovery time, my personal rebalancing time.
Mhm.
And then I said, well, no wonder I'm often exhausted at the end of the holidays, is because I did things I wanted to do. And this is the other challenge.
Mhm.
You want to see people, you want to see your family. Um, everybody gathers. And sometimes I remember, for me, it's like echoes, like all the Christmas dinners from the past. And then I have this feeling of all of my aunts and uncles, because I'm getting old now, and they're not here anymore. And so while the current thing is busy and happy, there's a piece of me that is missing the old thing,
Mhm.
how it was. And maybe Alice, if she feels like it, I know she has some grown children and still some kids. And if there's like some sadness for the the, the kid who is an adult now, who's not, who's not part of that
Mhm.
fun and joyful Christmas. I don't know if it's a game, if it's like for kids, the packages, the surprise, the anticipation. That stuff exhausts me now.
Mhm.
See, I don't even feel bad about saying it. You see me squish? And I mean, and so then that's me. Nobody tells me I have to be anyway.
Mhm.
But I have sometimes some ideas that I should be some way to be in the holiday spirit.
Mhm.
And so Cindy and I, we kind of talked about this, and we thought we had some ideas that maybe ways that you could take care of yourself in the midst of the holiday season,
Mhm.
not to always give up your personal self-care time. And some of that self-care is just thinking, right? To remember people.
Well, yeah, and I mean, one of the things that I think is important to realize is that if your loss is recent, depression and grief are not the same things, but they are similar in that they are a very downward pulling, de-energizing thing. So I think if you are somebody who has had a recent loss, you have to be prepared for the fact that you're just not going to have the energy to do all the things that you need to do. Number one. So with my clients and what I do with myself is that I try to get people very value oriented. I say, what is it that first of all, how do you like to connect with people? And of course, if you're grieving, and who out there is a safe person we use the term that I'm also an end of life doula, and who out there can hold space for you, who can be with you and be with however you feel right now. Prioritize that, but think about how you like to connect. Some people like to connect by going shopping with people. Some people like to connect by sitting with some people. Some people like to connect by doing things on their own for people. So to engage, figure out first of all how you like to connect and how you like to show you care. I mean, what are the ways that you show people you care about them, that you like to do? How do you like to do it? And that a lot of people know about the 5 love languages. I don't necessarily recommend that test, but I think if you read those 5 categories, which is, let's see if I can remember them. Service, which is you do things for other people. Quality time, which means you spend time with people. That's another gift giving. So you may be somebody that you don't want to go to a lot of parties, but maybe you would like to just go out and buy a few things because that's what energizes you. Words of encouragement, which is, telling other people what they mean to you. So maybe what you want to prioritize is writing holiday cards. And the fifth is physical, is touch. And I apologize to anybody who knows the actual terms better. But I also just encourage you to, use your gut instinct on those categories. The test is okay, but I tested incorrectly on it. I always tell people this because I tested as service. And then over the years, and when I looked at it, I realized, no, I don't like, it's not service that I like, because service is you go and you do something for people. I just have a high work ethic. And so if I can find people to work with, I get to spend time with them, but it fits my values of working, right? So, but I feel like it's an aside, but that's where I think if you want to figure out how to start prioritizing and letting yourself off the hook, especially if you're grieving somebody, only do the things that you can handle and use those values. And then the third is, how do you like contribute? How do you like to contribute? What is it that you bring to your group of friends? What are your group of friends? What do you like to offer? What are the gifts that you like to offer? And don't do all of it, but figure out when you live your values. The closer we live to our values, the easier it is to do those things. I know a lot of caregivers are like, I just want my life back. I want my life back. And they think that means being able to, pursue their interests or engage in things that they like to do. But that's often not possible if you're caring for somebody.
Right.
Right? Definitely. So that's something that you may be on a detour from. But your values are always there. They're right under your feet. You can always just find them. No, that's and you can live them. You can live them with anybody, with strangers, anybody. Yeah.
Well, and to spend a little time. What I think also happens when people are caring for somebody is they're doing so much for somebody else, and they're so focused outward on the other person, they can forget what they need. And when that happens, then we eventually burn out, and we don't have anything for anybody. And when you were talking about the love languages, one of the things that was interesting about that is for me to figure out what is important to me. And with my husband, what's important to him. And for a long time, we were just kind of like, because the way I express my caring drives him up the wall. And I had to learn, like that he keeps marvelous care of my car. The oil is always changed. The car is always safe. I can jump in the car and go. And that's his way of, caring for me by making sure I'm safe. But it's not going out to dinner. It's not fancy presents. It's not, but I had to learn, this is the real thing. And that's very valuable to me. So then if somebody offers something and you're in the midst of caregiving or you're in the midst of grieving, to know what helps you, so that if people say, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
I can say, if you could call me every day at 4:00 and just say hello.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I am. Just call and say hello, so that I, or whatever it is that each person needs individually. it helps because I think a lot of times people who are around you
Mhm.
feel like they don't know what to do. You
Mhm.
know, and they maybe invite you to things because they think, oh, well, you need to get out, you need to get going, you need to not isolate yourself with
Right.
your person you're caring for. And then if you have a hard time saying no, like me,
Yeah.
then you overcommit.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I like to share with people is it's okay to change your mind.
Mhm.
And especially if you're in a caring situation or a grieving situation, you can respond from your normal self, right? Whatever that normal self is, and how you normally are, and how you normally like to engage.
Mhm.
And then you can get yourself stretched out too far because you aren't your normal self.
Mhm.
And to give yourself permission not to be your normal self, and to be and to be able to call somebody and just say, I thought I could do this, but I'm really tired. I mean, this is part of what I experienced was, as you said, the whole energy is down. I just didn't have the energy to do the number of things I used to do.
Mhm. I don't care about it as much.
Oh, doing all those things?
Right. I mean, so one of the things that happened to me um, after my mother died was that it became really, we're really able to pretend that doesn't happen for a long time, and then somebody dies,
Mhm.
and we realize it's a thing. I mean, that's like one of my favorite deaf educators is Stephen Jenkinson, and he said, people will say everybody dies, but what people believe is everyone dies but me.
Ah,
You know, and Kubler-Ross is the same way. She said, people are amazing at pretending like it's not going to happen to them, and then it does, and it's such a shock. But then I mean, I was thinking about this. I worked for the National Library of Medicine for over 20 years. I'm probably going to be on this earth less time than I spent working for that venerable organization. And that really brings me up short. I don't I don't feel a need to do a lot of stuff that's not important to me anymore.
that's a really important thing. I think that happens to a lot of people who care for somebody
Mhm.
at the end of life. I think it does change you completely.
Yeah.
And I think part of what we resonated with each other is that we know that.
Mhm.
And how it plays out in our lives might be slightly different.
Yeah.
But we understand that, and it's not really, I don't think it's really possible to communicate it to somebody else.
What? I'm sorry, what? What was that?
That this change that happens to you
Mhm.
when you care for somebody
Yeah.
who passes away, and that you say, okay, this is going to happen to me.
Mhm.
How do I want to be ready for this to happen? What don't I want to do?
Mhm.
How do I, uh, for me especially too, was what do I want to leave behind? What do
Mhm.
I not want to burden somebody with
Yeah.
when I leave?
Yep.
And so I think that just knowing all that,
Mhm.
and that whatever choices you make to get through are okay. You know,
Yeah, and be patient with yourself as you figure that out. Like I don't want to say I never do anything I don't want to do, but I get to the hey, I don't want to do this quicker.
yeah, I think that's right.
You know?
And I'm kinder to myself. Like if I used to be, if I said I would do this, I would do it no matter what it took to finish. Right
Mhm.
now, I might be saying, "Oh, really? I really meant to do this."
Mhm.
But I got to tell you, we need to unravel me from this because my heart's not in this, and I'm not going to do a great job.
Mhm.
I can push through, but if you get somebody else in this role to support you, everything will be different and more joyful.
Yeah.
And before, I would never give myself permission to quit. So I think I think permission, and I think permission around the holidays is important.
Mhm.
And Cindy and I thought that it would be fun to teach workshop together, as partly as a way to get to know each other's work better, but also as a gift to the people we know who are in, I would call this a transition. This is like a major life
Mhm.
transition.
Yeah, it is.
And it just happens over the holidays. Now, it might happen over the 4th of July for you, depending on who your human is that you're caring for. It might happen. Uh, I remember for my mom, my grandma passed away in the spring.
Mhm.
Mother's Day was a really difficult, the first Mother's Day was really hard for my
Mhm.
mom and her sisters. And and so, that's for me, that's just not a big holiday, but it was a big holiday for them in relationship to their mom. And so Cindy and I made up, created, I guess created,
Yeah.
workshop that we call Getting Through the Holidays When You Don't Feel Joyful.
Mm.
And, you know, we talked about this a lot. Because people say, oh, well, you need to, like, what are they going to get? And fix the problem.
Mhm.
I think what we want to do, and just chime in anytime, Cindy, is we want to make space for you to make space for yourself,
Mhm.
to be kind, to give yourself the time to heal. That if you find yourself overcommitted, that you give yourself permission to gently step back from a couple of things. Or or say you're going to go to the family dinner, take your own car so that after an hour, if you need to get off by yourself, you don't have to disturb anybody else to
Mhm.
do that. But you were able to be with your family, and you are able to do what you need to do to take care of yourself simultaneously.
Well, and I also want to share a couple of techniques in this workshop that I use that are central to when I work with clients, which are actual, it's easy to tell people these things. Like, what does that look like? What can you actually do? And that's something that I want to share, um, because it's helped me so much. It's helped me n- not fight whatever comes up during during the holidays, because even if you're not grieving, they can be rife with emotional stress. So even if you're not grieving, this is a basic emotional skill for managing emotions that I had never learned until 2 years ago. And so I teach everyone, I tell everybody the skill now. And also, just how to figure out how to take care of yourself. When
Yeah,
people say take care of yourself, but like for some of us, we don't know. We never did it before.
right. And we decided to do the workshop on 2 days,
Mhm.
Tuesday and Thursday, December 6th. No,
Now it's the seventh and ninth.
it's the 7th and 9th.
Yeah.
I have something that I call calendar dyslexia.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, I do too. I just happen to be able to read the crawl.
So, so we picked 2 days, and we figure that part of this will be for people to get together
Mhm.
and be with people who they don't have to be any way with. Because I don't know about you, but I sort of feel like when I see my family, I'm the cheery one, and I have a few little things that I have
Mhm.
that just come with my role in my family. And when I'm with other people, there's not that expectation, and then I don't have that feeling of letting them down
Mhm.
by not living up to their expectation. Families and history and emotions. So there's all these things, and we thought that 2 sessions would be really helpful for people, so
Mhm.
that um, I have some techniques from body brain balance and the Alexander technique that help people calm their nervous system in the middle of whatever is happening. And when you do that, you just have a little more space inside and actually outside to make choices and decisions. And Cindy has these tools that she was talking about that she wants to share. And also, coming back together gives everybody a chance to say, hey, I did this and it worked. I did this and it didn't work. Or this happened. I wasn't expecting this. How do I deal with that? And so part of this is the community that we hope people will feel. It's a short little mini community, but still, it is people who want to be present over the holidays. And for me, if I'm denying how I'm feeling, I can't be present. And if I make a judgment that, well, I'm sad, but I don't want to make anybody else sad, and so I'm going to be happy today, and then suddenly I'm not happy, and I don't make anybody else happy. And if I let myself be a little bit sad now, it can flow through like that little banner on the bottom that has the registration workshop link, which I will post in the comments of the video. And so we also will have, this video will be up if you know friends who are going through any of this kind of situation, or any challenging situation. It could be somebody who has a newborn baby and is not getting any sleep, and it was their turn to host the family gathering. Oh, excuse me, that's a lot of stress. So it doesn't have to be a sad end of life situation that's causing you excess stress. And to feel, I have a hard time feeling joyful when I feel pressured. I don't know about you, Cindy, but no. So just if this is interesting to you, we offer it just $35 for both sessions. If you're only free for one, email me or Cindy, and we'll hook you up to come for one. Not as great as two, but we also are planning a little bit of a building of ideas so that you have a foundation from the first one that you can expand on in the second one, and really simple things that you can use to carry yourself through the holidays.
Yep. I hope you all can come. I hope to meet those of you who you would like to learn some of these techniques, and also maybe you'll learn some ways to support others who are having a hard time. I think we all need to learn what it looks like to give each other grace, and I think that could happen too by being together and sharing how we feel and practicing some of the techniques that we're going to teach you.
So if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. We will check back periodically. And like I said, there will be a video of replay available of this that you can share with friends and family. And if you have people who aren't on Facebook, there is also a YouTube video that we will be happy for you to share.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for watching. It's been great to chat with you and share some of these ideas, Cindy. So thanks so much.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I think we'll have fun on the workshops.
Yeah, me too.
Take care.
Take care.